Close your eyes for a moment and think about the one person who has loved you without conditions, without limits, and without ever asking for anything in return. In today's story, A Mother's Love, we travel to a quiet European village where a single mother faces life's hardest struggles with silent strength and an unbreakable heart. This is not just a story. It's a journey of sacrifice, hope, and the kind of love that shapes a child's entire future. Get ready to feel every emotion, because this story might remind you of someone very special in your own life. The rain began just as the church bells faded into the quiet of evening. It tapped gently against the window panes of a small cottage nestled on the outskirts of a quiet European village. Inside, Eliza sat beside her son, softly running her fingers through his hair as he slept. His name was Oliver, and to her, he was not just a child. He was her entire world. Eliza had once been full of laughter, her life painted with dreams of travel, music, and long summer afternoons. But life had a way of reshaping those dreams. When her husband died unexpectedly, leaving her alone with a newborn son, everything changed. Grief became her shadow, but love became her strength. She had no choice but to rise, again and again, because Oliver needed her. She worked long hours at a local tailor's shop, mending coats and stitching dresses beneath the soft hum of an old sewing machine. At night, she brought extra work home, her tired eyes focused under the dim glow of a lamp. Her fingers often trembled with exhaustion, but she never stopped. Every thread she pulled carried a silent promise. My son will have a better life than this. Oliver grew up surrounded by quiet sacrifices. As a child, he didn't fully understand them, but he felt them deeply. In the warm meals she placed before him, even when she ate very little, in the way she smiled, even when her eyes looked tired, in the way she wrapped him in her arms during cold winter nights, as if shielding him from every hardship in the world. One chilly autumn afternoon, Oliver returned home from school with his shoulders slumped. His coat was dusty, and there was a faint mark on his cheek. Eliza noticed instantly. "What happened, Oliver?" she asked gently, kneeling beside him. "It's nothing," he muttered, avoiding her gaze. But a mother's heart does not accept silence so easily. She lifted his chin softly. "Tell me." "They laughed at me," he whispered. "They said I'm poor, that my clothes look old, and that I'll never be anything." For a brief moment, pain pierced Eliza's heart, not for herself, but for the hurt carried in her son's voice. She took a steady breath, holding back her tears, and pulled him close. "Listen to me," she said softly but firmly. "Being poor does not make you less. What matters is who you are, your kindness, your courage, and your effort. One day, you will show them, not with anger, but with your success." Oliver looked into her eyes, searching for doubt, but there was none, only belief, pure and unshakable. That night, while Oliver slept, Eliza sat quietly by the door, her gaze resting on his worn-out shoes. The next morning, she left earlier than usual, taking on extra work. Days passed into weeks. She worked longer hours, skipped meals, and pushed through sickness, all for one simple wish: to see her son walk with pride. One evening, she returned home carrying a small box wrapped carefully in paper. Her hands trembled slightly as she placed it in Oliver's hands. "What is it?" he asked, curious. "Open it," she said with a faint smile. Inside lay a pair of new shoes, simple, but sturdy and clean. Oliver's eyes widened in amazement. "For me?" he asked softly. Eliza nodded. Without a second thought, Oliver wrapped his arms around her. "Thank you, Mom. I love you." In that moment, every sleepless night, Every ache in her body, every silent struggle faded away. His happiness was enough. It was always enough. Years passed, and Oliver grew into a determined young man. Inspired by his mother's strength, he studied with relentless focus. Whenever he felt tired or discouraged, he remembered her tired hands, still working late into the night, still sacrificing, still believing in him. One bright spring morning, Oliver received a letter that changed everything. He had been accepted into a prestigious university with a full scholarship. His hands trembled as he read the words, tears filling his eyes. He ran home, his heart racing. Eliza was sitting by the window, sewing as she always did. Time had softened her strength, her hair streaked with silver, her face marked with years of quiet struggle, but her eyes still carried that same warmth. "Mom," Oliver called, breathless. She looked up, startled. "What is it, dear?" "I got in," he said, his voice breaking with emotion. "I got the scholarship." For a moment, Eliza said nothing. Then her hands slowly lowered, and tears welled in her eyes. "Oh, my dear boy," she whispered. Oliver knelt beside her, taking her hands gently. "This is because of you. Everything I've become, it's because of you." Eliza shook her head softly. "No, Oliver. This is your achievement, your hard work." But Oliver knew the truth. Behind his success stood a woman who had given everything without ever asking for anything in return. Years later, Oliver built a life far removed from the struggles of his childhood. He lived comfortably, surrounded by opportunities his mother had only dreamed of. But no matter how far he went, he never forgot the small cottage, the rainy evenings, or the woman who carried him through it all. One quiet evening, he sat beside his mother, now frail with age. He held her hand gently, just as she had once held his. "Are you happy, Mum?" he asked softly. Eliza looked at him, her eyes filled with the same endless love. "I was happy the day you were born," she said. "Everything after that has been a blessing." Oliver felt his chest tighten with emotion. "You gave me everything." Eliza smiled faintly. "That's what mothers do." As the sun set beyond the rolling hills, painting the sky in soft gold and pale pink, Oliver understood something deeply true. A mother's love does not demand recognition. And so, as this story comes to an end, one truth remains. A mother's love is the quiet force that shapes our lives in ways we often don't realize until much later. If this story touched your heart, take a moment to appreciate the sacrifices, the silent struggles, and the endless love that mothers give every single day. Maybe even send a message or say thank you to the one who gave you everything.